Before Dawsons Creek started a wave of teen dramas, ABC in 1994 gave us the cult classic My So-Called Life, starring Claire Danes and Jared Leto. The show introduces us to a 15-year-old Angela Chase who also narrates most of the show and is living with her parents and sister in a fictional suburb in Pittsburgh. Her mom works and employs her father, while her younger sister deals with how much she is ignored in the family. Her parents do have more of a role rather than being the type of parents we see today who are all-out evil. Hello, CW. In the pilot, Angela dyes her hair and abandons her best friend Sharon in favor of befriending the rebellious Rayanne and her GBF, Rickie. They leave for a club only for Angela to end up in the back seat of a police car. We also get introduced to her love interest, Jordan Catalano, who is the typical music-loving bad boy, though he struggles with a learning disability. Later in the series, we get introduced to the socially awkward Brian, who has a crush on Angela and is conflicted, and a whole episode is shown in his point of view. We also get introduced to Delia, who takes a liking in Rickie. The show dealt with so many issues that teenagers were dealing with in the 1990s, whether it was about sexual identity, abuse, or Rayanne overdosing with drugs and alcohol at her own party. The show was definitely ahead of its time that most teen dramas in the future would continue these common themes. Although shows from the 1980s like Degrassi Junior High dealt with such issues, they felt more like after-school specials than what My So-Called Life had offered. At the same time, some felt the show was a little too much, taking on a more serious tone than your fun-filled Saturday morning Saved by the Bell or California Dreams. Still, critics back in the day from the Boston Globe, Newsday, Variety, Chicago Sun-Times, and USA Today highly praised it. The first season ends at episode 19 with a theme about dreams as Angela chases Jordan. Jordan looks to win back Angela with Brian's help after a drunk Jordan had been intimate with Rayanne. Rayanne and Angela had broken their friendship because of it. It would seem that Sharon ended up befriending Rayanne, or at least we think so going forward. We get some closure between Delia and Rickie, and that's about it. That's it, the show ends, and yes, it gets canceled. How in the world did this show get canceled? The first problem was that it aired at a time when it was up against a giant of a show called Friends, and there were other popular shows like Martin and Mad About You, so the show didn't stand a chance in the ratings and the time slot it was given. Since it was a teen drama, it didn't have enough of a following to fall back on as later shows would have with the target demographics the networks focus on today. And plus, the WB and UPN didn't even start till early 1995, so they weren't looking to pick up season 2 anytime soon. Despite the first major internet fan campaign in history to bring back a show, Claire Danes was no longer interested in doing it, as she started working in movies, and Romeo and Juliet became her first big movie role alongside Leo in 1996. The first season ended with so many more questions and fans wanting more. Did Angela ever make up with Rayanne? Did Jordan get back together with Angela after the letter, and was Brian going to be his bestie or enemy? Did Rickie ever find a place of his own? Did Angela's dad have an affair or something? It's almost like, just why would you create such a critically acclaimed show, as we can see on Rotten Tomatoes, only to throw it into the trash? Well, we would find out years later that we would get some kind of answers from the creators of the show as what would have happened in season 2, such as Angela and Jordan becoming a couple, but they would eventually find out that they probably aren't really meant for each other. Brian was going to be with Delia. They might have dealt with teen pregnancy with Sharon's character. Angela's parents would be divorced, so they did have more plans, but we never got that season 2. There was one glimpse of hope in 1999 with the release of the novel My So-Called Life Goes On. Angela and Jordan do get back together, and she works for her dad. Brian still wants Angela, though he takes an interest in an older woman, and Rickie finds a love interest of his own. Regardless, we never got a season 2 or a TV movie, and we were all left with the question, where is the ending?